Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 7th webinar of the National Positive Psychology Association, or NPPA. I am Shilpa, an executive committee member of NPPA. Now, today we have a couple of participants with us who are not members of NPPA, so I will take a moment to provide a very brief background about the organization in case you are not aware of it already. So, it has almost been a decade since NPPA was established by a group of eminent positive psychology scholars working in the field of positive psychology in India. They essentially wanted to bring together Indian academicians, researchers, professionals, practitioners, students, and other relevant individuals who are interested in the field of positive psychology. Broadly, NPPA aims to explore positive psychology related constructs globally and nationally with respect to teaching and research. In case you want to know more about the organization, you can check out the website, the link of which will be shared very shortly in the chat box. Now, since 2020, NPPA has been organizing a series of webinars on a variety of positive psychology related topics, such as hope, emotional intelligence, resilience, self-care during the pandemic, the Bhagavad Gita and positive psychology, and also more research-oriented and general psychology related topics such as psychometrics. Now, the theme for today is enhancing happiness, evidence-based strategies. And our esteemed speaker for today is Professor Kamlesh Singh. Now, in addition to being the secretary of NPPA, Dr. Singh is currently a professor of psychology at the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. She has published over 90 research papers in various peer-reviewed national and international journals and has over 15 book chapters to her credit. In fact, in 2019, she was awarded the very prestigious Shane J. Lopez Award for Professional Contributions in Positive Psychology by the Section on Positive Psychology of the American Psychological Association, or APA. She has co-authored 2 books, one of which is Measures of Positive Psychology, Development and Validation, published by Springer, and the other is Translational Research in Applied Psychology in India, published by Sage. She is also the author of the award-winning book, Bhartiya Sandarbh Mein Vyavaharik Sakaratmak Manovigyan, which was given the Rajbhasha Gaurav Award for original book writing in Hindi on Gyan Vigyan for citizens of India by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India in 2019. Now, in addition to her ongoing teaching and research-related activities and responsibilities, Professor Singh is also a member of the Council of Advisors of the IPA, or the International Positive Psychology Association. With her rich experience in the field of positive psychology, it is indeed our pleasure to welcome ma'am today. Without any further delay, I will take a moment to introduce the topic on which Professor Singh will be speaking today. Now, as we all know, happiness is a universal goal. Everyone strives to be happy. But is it possible to increase or enhance our levels of happiness? Well, a growing body of scientific literature shows that it is indeed possible to increase or enhance our levels of happiness. And within the context of happiness enhancement, there are certain key concepts such as set point, intentional activities, and environmental factors. And there are several pathways through which our happiness levels can be enhanced by taking these aspects into and these factors into consideration. Now, 3 such key pathways happen to be positive psychological interventions, existing religious spiritual practices, and happy habits. And in today's talk, Professor Singh will essentially be focusing on these aspects. Now, before I step aside and let ma'am take over, I have a small request to everyone. So if you have any queries or any questions, you can definitely post them in the chat box, even while ma'am is speaking, but we will take up all of the questions towards the end in the 10 to 15 minute question and answer session. And in case you want to make it more interactive, then you can raise your hand at the beginning of the Q&A session. We will unmute you and then you can ask your questions one by one. So let's begin today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilpa, for such a nice introduction. Hope my PPT is visible to you
Yes.
all and I'm audible to you. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you very much. So, Namaskar. Thank you for joining the webinar on enhancing happiness, evidence-based strategies. You just think about what are your happiness increasing strategies? When do you feel happy and when do you feel unhappy? Let's see whether your strategies match with psychologist strategies or not. And in text section, message section, you could write your happy habits, happiness increasing strategies which usually you use. And as Shilpa has mentioned, at the end we are going to talk about all those happiness increasing strategies from your side, and let's connect these strategies with the scientific researches on happiness increasing strategies. So, as Shilpa also mentioned about it, whether we talk about human behavior or one of these constructs, the construct of happiness, I think there are three main domains to understand how do we get happiness or get unhappiness. One is our set point, and I think you'll agree on this point. To some extent, we have different nature. Some of us are having a higher level of happiness in the same situation as compared to others. Even they have more joy juices and they get happy very soon. On the other hand, others difficult to get happiness and they have various issues. So nature wise we are different, we have different combination of genes, different biological factors, different level of chemicals in our body, and that's why our set point differ person to person. Second one is the circumstances. If we just talk about circumstances, there are various circumstances. Some of them are facilitating our well-being, others hindering or obstacles for our well-being. That's why, recent researchers not only talking about individuals' happy habits, they are also talking about the factors, in organizations like positive schooling, positive organizations, positive institutes, means where we are providing number of facilitators so that people feel happy within that environment. Third one, which is very, very important, is the intentional activity. We have various activities. Some of them are helping us to have higher level of happiness, like yoga, exercise, purposeful, meaningful activities, and many more, which could be counted as happiness increasing strategies. Uh, and again, that's in intervention programs most important section, because by changing our intentional activities we may have different level of happiness, and that's why scholars have been talking about different happiness increasing strategies. And then even in positive psychology domain we have intervention program oriented researches in which we have some intervention sessions, and by testing them through pre and post testing, say that's the level of happiness or well-being or life satisfaction have been improved by doing such activities. So I'll talk about all those activities, main activities at least highlighted by scholars. Second one is the identifying perceived happiness increasing strategies. Uh, it's in this case, we usually use bottom-up approach. We ask people, when do you feel happy? Which activities increase your happiness level? When do you feel upset? And through this analysis, we're trying to find out what are happy habits of a layperson in different societies, in different cultures, in different organizations, in different countries. And third one, which is again very interesting, the talking about existing socio-cultural, religious, spiritual practices, which differ country to country, community to community, society to society, culture to culture, and that's why those socio-cultural factors are very, very important for us, or maybe religious, spiritual practices. In some researches, it has been highlighted that most of these religious, spiritual practices helping us to have higher level of compassion, forgiveness, helping others, and all these factors help us to have higher level of well-being. So let's take all three one by one and discuss different happy habits or happiness increasing strategies. In first domain, designing intervention programs for enhancing well-being, I have selected one paper from Bollier and his associates in 2013. They had a meta-analytic study by using randomized controlled studies. So they collate number of randomized controlled studies and try to find out or try to how develop a list, display a list in which they defined or they displayed number of activities which are being used in intervention programs. If you are non-psychology person, then I think you need to know in psychology, especially if we talk about positive psychology. We have three main ideas, three main aims to explore human behavior. One, to understand through certain researches human behavior and factors affecting it. Second one, the techniques to assess someone's behavior. And third one is, can we change someone's behavior? Can we have some certain ways of changing someone's behavior? Through counseling and clinical psychologists, psychology research, clinical psychological researches, it's quite common. And there are various studies in which counseling and psychotherapy's effectiveness have been documented. But in the field of positive psychology, we are trying to work with normal people. They are not having any issue with their happiness, with their life satisfaction, quality of life and all. But all of us are programmed to grow, and we want to get higher level of, we are happy, but still we want to have higher level of happiness. We have good quality of life, but still our motivation to have better quality of life. We are doing well in our life, in our organizational life, in our professional life, in our say interpersonal relations life. But still, if there are some strategies, we would be happy to learn how we can have better interpersonal relationship, how we can have better performance, how we can deal in a better manner with others, how we can have say growth mindset, how we can perform good in different domain of our life, whether when we are dealing with our children, dealing with our students, dealing with our colleagues or other people in society or in our culture. So for that there are various strategies, and out of these strategies, some we can have a tailor made strategies bouquet, and can say this is these are certain activities, and we take baseline their previous level, and after doing all those exercises, what is change in their behavior. And again, positive psychology started and as an independent subdiscipline of psychology in 1998 and 99. So in last about 2 decades, number of researches or even on intervention programs available, I think in hundreds, in school setting, in college setting, in organization settings. So by compiling all those, Bollier and his associates mentioned that these are the main strategies which are being used in different intervention programs. So resilience improving exercises were there. Optimism and gratitude exercises are being used. Doing acts of kindness. Some strategies, and I think that's the most important component in different intervention programs. directly or indirectly, we are trying to change someone's thinking process and certain activities which help us to have positive thoughts in our mind. And these positive thoughts trigger our positive emotions and we feel happy. So, writing about positive experiences, you just see, knowingly you are getting training to focus on your positive experiences. Practicing gratitude by counting one's blessings, you are trying to know what is good in your life, where you could express gratitude. And in one of the exercise, I know we ask, you just imagine a situation where you wanted to say thank you and couldn't. Now you write a letter, and express your gratitude. So you just see that scene. Just imagine it. When you are writing a gratitude letter to someone, you are writing something. You are writing something happy, and that's why happy emotions are being generated in your mind. Writing about best possible selves, you are trying to find out what a possible selves you have. Rehearsal of positive statements, again connected with positive thoughts. Thinking about positive life experiences. So again, not on negative, but positive life experiences you are recalling. So during all these recallings or doing such activities, actually you are generating positive thoughts, and these positive thoughts are connected with positive emotions. Similarly, some other strategies, hopeful goal directed thinking, sessions they have, self management activities they have in their intervention program, positive bibliotherapy, where you read some therapeutic messages. You know, nowadays on WhatsApp, see number of messages. And I think to some extent these are working, because in the morning you are reading number of motivational messages or therapeutic messages. We also have one section on our, this YouTube platform. I'll talk later on about it. So in these posters, we usually put positive messages from spiritual leaders, from positive psychologists, from motivational speakers. So you think something differently, and it helps us to have growing mindset. Cultivating secret moments, so spiritual cultivation. Solution focused coaching, there again there are two type of solution and emotion focused. If you problem or emotion focused strategies are there, and we learn when we need to focus on problems, when we need to focus on our emotions for solving certain problems. Life coaching and attainment of goals, use your strengths in a new way. Again, in this series, there are various researches. And in this series, this research is like, you know your character strengths, means what are your positive personality traits, what you could do in a better manner. That's first point. Then second one is, how do you use your character strengths? And third one, how you can use them in a better manner. So once you know these are my strengths, these are my positive personality traits, these are my strengths, then you are more aware about where you are using and how you can use them in a better manner. So it's just like that's your pocket money, and you can use it in a better way. And through such kind of intervention program, you learn such strategies. There is a book by Professor Linley and one more author, Average to A plus. And in this intervention program, which was delivered on school students, they, make them learn to what strategies, what strengths they have, school students, how they could use, they are using in their daily life, and how they can use them in a new manner. So through all these things, actually, you have better insight about your character strengths and where you are using and how you can use them in a better manner. Working from wellness program, positive future thinking, projecting a positive self in the future, savoring the moment. Again, very interesting strategy it is, where they are saying that at least one activity per day you enjoy, and then they just you identify that activity and then do that activity. Actually, stress nature is it's additive. If you are not taking care of your increasing stress due to number of stressors, daily stresses, then sometimes you may feel very stressed. But if you have a pocket every day, a particular period where you are doing certain activities when you are free from stressors, maybe music, maybe your walk, running, doing physical activities, doing yoga, doing meditation, and many more exercises are there. So during that period, because you are away from a stressor, then your body and mind, get relaxed, and they are getting again the normal state. And that's why these activities works positively. These activities work positively. So positive thinking, life coaching and attainment of goals, positive writing. So they have identified these strategies which were used in different studies. Now, as a researcher, what you could do, whenever you are planning a positive psychology intervention study, then you could think out of all these which you would like to have. And then you could see number of studies in which they have, say, 6, 8, or maybe more than that exercises as per your time and slots sessions uh, permits, and then we study its effectiveness. uh, and is in mainstream psychology, number of such intervention programs are available, well designed programs. Then for an Indian researcher, it's important to adapt and translate, especially if you are going to work with with non-English speaking population. And then that's a way of, once you standardize, you could use adapted or translation and revalidate it in Indian setting once again, and how such kind of strategy is working in Indian setting. Second one is, as I mentioned, that's the bottom up approach. Whether we are studying or not studying, I think all of us have some strategies which usually consciously or unconsciously using in our life. And if someone asks question like that, like when do you get happy, or when do you get unhappy, and what do you do to get happiness, so we usually have some strategies and think about. So like that, that's a series of researches in which they have identified such kind of strategies by asking open-ended questions. And they ask people what are most adapted strategies people use, and what do they count if we ask what do you think, what are the most important and meaningful such kind of strategies are there. So in that case, as I mentioned, there's a series of researches, and Parks and his associates in 2012 mentioned that the number of percentage of people considering some certain strategies. They also provided one list of which was based on previous study, and these are like starred like this, and some other strategies which were identified by people. So you could see to some extent these strategies are matching with the previous lot previous lot. So practicing acts of kindness towards others, 77% people said that's a happiness increasing activity. Pursuing goals that are important to them, expressing gratitude, being optimist, doing physical exercise or sports, nurturing my social relationships, savoring life's joy, acting like a happy person, doing activities that make me feel in the moment, forgiving others, practicing religion and spirituality, using strategies that help me cope with stress and adversity, avoiding overthinking and comparing myself to others, practicing meditation. So could see to some extent such strategies are matching with our previous list. And in this case, after knowing these strategies, the next point was participants most frequently performed activities. What do you do most of the time? And then again, they mentioned that goal evaluation and tracking means agency oriented, motivation oriented activities they like, savoring the moment, at least one moment, they enjoy, they love to do. They are free from stresses when they are doing, when they have that moment. Gratitude journal, thinking optimistically, remembering happy days, strengthening social relationships, expressing gratitude personally, acts of kindness and kindness journal. So all those activities they identified. Now, uh, and we are also developing actually that psychological test. And Shilpa, at the end, you could, post that link where we are developing a psychological test here in Indian setting, multi-dimension scale of happiness, which we started with the with qualitative research on happiness, and we asked people, what do you mean by happiness? हैप्पीनेस से आप क्या समझते हो? आपको क्या लगता है कि क्या फैक्टर्स आपकी हैप्पीनेस को बढ़ाते हैं, क्या फैक्टर्स आपकी हैप्पीनेस को घटाते हैं? What factors you think contribute to your happiness? What are your happy habits? And we ask number of questions, got their responses, open-ended or in sentences. Then we generated some items apart from the items from the existing scales. And we are also trying to develop two scales, one on multi-dimension scale of happiness, which is initiated from Indian studies. And second one is happiness increasing strategies. Uh, let's see whether they are different from the mainstream psychology strategies or not. That's the, we are in the process of doing that. So in that case, actually, they said these are 8 uh, main factors and having certain activities. So like social affiliation, supporting and encouraging friends. So the means your interpersonal relations. That's the hallmark of happiness. Positive emotions, interpersonal relations, healthy interpersonal relations. You could see, across the board number of theories, but interpersonal relations most important factor. There is one study started in Harvard University during World War First and Second, and they have generated a lot data by using qualitative and quantitative researches. And if you just see a video from, fourth director of this, because it started in 1920 onwards. So that means more than 100 years ago. So the fourth director of this ongoing study is, Robert Wilding, talking about interpersonal relations, most important factor to have, positive emotions, positive thoughts, and positive behavior, or for happiness broadly. So then the second one is partying and clubbing. Here, I think, especially if you are a psychology student, psychology scholar, that's very important for us, because you just see if we ask here, in happiness increasing strategies, alcohol, drugs, dancing, visiting, partying and clubbing in. So that's not socially that way approved. And I think if we just go with the general population of India, that may be not much promoted behavior. So that's why when we are taking their models or models which are initiated from West or from European countries, then I think we need to understand whether it will work or it will not work. And there are various strategies where we adapt when we skip certain items which are not working properly in Indian setting, or we replace it. There are various examples, documented in research. Mental control, avoidance of negative thoughts and feelings. In this case, especially in next slide, I'll talk. They have taken some negative items also. So on negative items, we expect low response to have high level of happiness, or as a happiness increasing strategy. Instrumental goal pursuit, some motivational activities, something which is action oriented and we are motivated to do. So like achieving academic goals, maybe for better performance and all. Passive leisure is also part of, and when we are surfing internet for hours, we don't know where we are, and we are away from stressors, anxiety and all. So to some extent it's helpful, but I think to some extent it works. But if, say, spending a lot time and going away from your actual goals which you love to achieve, then later on we feel empty. We feel like we have wasted our time. So that's why for some time that's good, but if it's, say, at addiction level, and or you are wasting a lot time, then later on you could regret. So to some extent it is, but if it's, say, too much, then it may be harmful for us. On the other hand, active leisure, and I know Dr. Diener has mentioned that if we compare these two strategies, then active leisure is always better. When you are doing gardening, you're doing physical exercise, doing walking, doing something which is entertaining and having active level of. Religion, spiritual mode, that's also important, because seeking support from faith, to some extent it includes. Direct attempts, a proactive strategy aiming to cultivate a happy mood. So these are some identified factors, and next slide I'll talk a little bit more about it. Gender wise, age wise, locality wise, culture wise, these might be different. Strategy for different age group or gender group or locality group. So like in this example, it has been observed that men preferred engage in active leisure and mental control. On the other hand, women report using social affiliation, goal pursuit, perceived leisure and religion. So like that, actually it depends with which group you are dealing, and these strategies might be used differently for different age groups, as well as different strategies for different, like gender wise differences. You could see, if we in a group, men usually talk about politics, talk about news. On the other hand, women usually talk about interpersonal relations, their family members, their children and all other. So like that, I think to some extent we have different ways of. Now another well-developed psychological test. That's the next higher advanced level of. In this case, you could see there are, I think, 35 items they have in this psychological test, and they have documented it as a psychological test, and collected data found that these are the revised names of these factors, and could see how this factor is defined by these items. Next factor by next item, next factor by next items. I'll talk about these items also. Before that, if especially if you are a psychology student, uh, sometimes what happened, we have theoretical interpretation or of certain constructs, but sometimes these psychological test items are not linked with them, and that's why that's a limitation of psychological testing. We have to reject number of items as per low psychometric properties of certain items, and then finally we put only those items which are existing or retainable as per psychometric properties. Could see in this model, when we say operational definition of these factors, that's defined by these items. Like social affiliation means items related to or questions related to social support and increase, friends, savor the moment, receive support from friends, interact, communicate with friends, focus on maintaining relationship, help others. So that social affiliation, which is having these uh, items or these characteristics, is required, and that's the topmost happiness increasing strategy. Second one is partying and clubbing, and I'm sure if we replicate this study here in Indian setting, we need to adapt these items. But in original study, these items are like party, go out for club or bars with friends, go out to meet people to entertain, drink, alcohol, dance. These are the factors under this category. Then mental control, again, very interesting point is there. They have actually negative items. So just opposite of it, if you have higher level of strategies, like try not to think about being unhappy. That's positive item. Think about what is wrong with life. Try to look at the positive but fail. It means that's negative one, and we do reverse scoring of such items. Focus on negative aspects of life. The people who are focusing more on negative aspect, they have lower level of mental control. Then the next one, instrumental goal pursuit. It has study, pursue career goals, attempt to reach full potential, strive to accomplish things, try to do well academically, raise grades, organized life and goals. So that's the part of, and that's again another, happiness increasing strategies, combination or having number of components where actively or agencies or motivation we are using to have certain activities which help us to have higher level of well-being. In passive leisure, watching TV, surf the internet, go out to movie with friends, shop, sleep, stay home, and enjoy quiet times. On the other hand, active leisure, the items are, you could see comparatively lesser items for the lower level factors we have. Like active leisure, only two items, religion only two items, and direct attempts only two items. So for active, it's try to maintain health and fitness, work on one's hobbies and exercise. Religion, seek support from faith, perform religious activities, prayer, etc. And direct attempt, happy, smile, get oneself into happy mood, decide to be happy. So direct attempt to get happiness. And now that's the scale which is available. And if you want to know what's the level of happiness increasing strategies, through this scale, you could test your happiness increasing strategies. Now, next point is, let's change the mode. Uh, Even when you participate in some environmental settings, you may have higher level of well-being. You just imagine you have taken admission in say uh, counseling course or therapies course. During that period you learn number of strategies, and these strategies helping you also. Now you have changed way of behavior, and whenever you are in trouble, these signals from counseling, from psychotherapies, or these psychotherapy therapeutic strategies or counseling strategies coming up in your mind, and that's why you have less chance of having negativity or stress in your life compared to others. And through such learnings, we we definitely after counseling or psychotherapies or positive psychology degrees or courses, you are helping others. But before that, the all learnings are with you, within you, and they are helping you also. uh, but we know, and a mainstream scholar would say, have you tested it? There are some studies, and we are also having some efforts to document such kind of researches. That's a program map. Some of you must be knowing about it. That's a master's in applied positive psychology program from USA, and quite famous program in positive psychology. One study is documented from this program, students' opinion after doing this course, experiences of MAP program, could see number of positive statements provided by the by students. So like that, similarly in now we realize importance of such programs. That's why happiness curriculum in Delhi schools and various other programs are there. SEAL program for emotional intelligence in number of schools now, even in India, private groups, NGOs providing such kind of platforms to learn. Because if you learn such strategies, say in your young age, then whenever you are in trouble, or whenever your near and dears are in trouble, then you could help them, you could help yourself. So that's why these all programs now are being tested and again being provided in different on different platforms. Policymakers know why it's so important, and that importance is being recognized now. Similarly, if we just talk about Indian setting, you know, honestly, if I compare psychologist versus religious spiritual groups followers, and I think there is no comparison at all. Whether you talk about art of living, Isha Foundation, Artfulness Meditation, uh, followers are in lakhs. They are spending time for their better life, as well as spending money for getting such type of programs. So if people learn psychology, positive psychology, to know the base of a better life, we should also try to expand our wings and try to understand what's going on in on such platforms, while people are liking and feeling better in their life after joining such programs. So just to test, just to have empirical studies, we have number of efforts and two theses. In fact, three, I would like to highlight here. One by Roshni Sachar, second one, because she did it in, I think, in 2013, she got degree. So her main idea was to study effectiveness of Buddhist practice, SGI practice. And some of you must be knowing that there are various centers of this practice. And she had international study, collected data from USA, from Europe, from India, from these centers, as well as the people who are not doing any any not following any such platform, and observe that people who are following religiously these practices, they had better well-being and some other positive psychological factors. Similarly, Narendra Arya did another research, heartfulness spiritual practices. He tested two practices, say about 5 days, program where they are staying on, say, in Himalaya ashram or in any other ashram, in on hilly station, uh, following whole day program morning to evening, mainly doing satsang, doing reading religious books, having meditation. Sattvic food is there. They are, going in nature and staying away from all daily hassles. So, in these two studies, he has documented what are the activities and how these activities are connected with psychological positive happiness increasing strategies, and tested and found very interesting results. Similarly, in IIT Delhi, there is a center where Science of Happiness, Shri Ames Science of Yoga course, and inner harmony courses, number of other courses are going on, you could see. And very recent thesis from done by Garima Rajan. She also studied some such kind of courses effectiveness, and again very promising results we found. So what we are saying, that there is no need to deliver intervention programs in each and every setting. In fact, in some cases, these are because these are from West or from European countries, not that much suitable to our communities. And I'll talk about this point also in next study. On the other hand, some existing practices could provide us comparatively better results. And we are just saying that these are positive practices in the community. And let's talk about them and tell them these are really beneficial and you must do that. So that is again a very important section of, as I mentioned, there could be some socio-cultural and some very specific strategies. That's I think you should understand like a case study, because very less chances uh, to generalize this study. But as a case study, it's a wonderful study. We published this study in Positive Nations and Communities, and this study is on satsang and its effectiveness. Could see this groups, that's why I'm saying like a case study. You could see the mean age 55 years, range 45 years to 85 years, not much educated, not they didn't worked, and some of them are retired teachers, and they just come. And I think even in Delhi outer area could see such kind of groups sitting in the park and singing songs, bhajan called satsang. So and even sometimes someone is very new for the group, but no singing and bhajans, and she'll just sit with them and could sing 3 4 songs. And now these retired teachers would write down it, and next time then they'll sing, and like that they include number of new songs in their group. So they are singing, educated, retired school teachers helping them to learn new songs, and some of them come with their grandchildren, so that way helping their family. On auspicious occasions, they visit each other house and do satsang at home, sharing prasad and donation money, and number of groups are there, as you could see, very near another group is there. In this research, through focused group discussion, uh, we have mentioned that these are the main factors which help us to understand how satsang is helping them to have better well-being. During that period, as through focus group discussions, we these themes were immersed: free from stresses during singing, healthier interpersonal relations, entertainment of the day, strong social support and family contribution. Women go outside, they donate, purposeful life because in old age, doing religious activities, sharing with same age group. These all factors are very important. I am not going in detail. Otherwise, I could, uh, take one by one and how it's linked with that activity. But in question answer, I'll answer if you have any queries related to it, because I have two more studies to share with you. And that's the best way to know uh, religious messages. Like in one of our research papers, we have documented that how song has message related to be away from Kam, Krodh, Moh, Lobh. On the other hand, you could see that this model is somehow I missed its reference. This model is from spirituality and Indian psychology, lessons from Bhagavad Gita from Professor Bhauk, and he has developed number of modules defining our theoretical understanding about human behavior, and mainly these modules are being developed from Bhagavad Gita. So we know, I think almost all religions, whether we talk about Jainism, Sikhism, Buddhism, Hinduism, everywhere we say again and again, be away from vikaras, kam, krodh, moh, lobh se dur raho. And the same message, ahankar, is being sung in a folk song. So that's why that's again very important factor to have better well-being. Okay, so as I mentioned, sometimes when we take strategies from USA or from European and other European countries and some other countries, may not suit to uh, our local culture. I think easy to adapt certain intervention programs from school setting, from college setting, from organization settings. But if we are moving towards the rural society, then socio-cultural factors are more important than the city culture, because I think we are like other countries only and not that much collectivistic. We are, but comparatively lower level of. And again, in one of our researches, we documented this fact. But if you are dealing with, and I think we should not ignore local communities. Still it's about 70% population staying in rural areas, and we should give due weightage to this population. So we had one study, association between religion, spirituality practices and well-being in Indian elderly rural women. So in this case, we had four groups, and one was our deliver intervention program having satsang, relaxation techniques, and physiotherapeutic exercises, and control group where they were not interested to come daily, but at initial stage they came and participated in the research. On the other hand, I took three practices: Satsang, Brahmakumaris, and Radha Swami. To some extent, you must be knowing about these groups. Satsang now you know, and Brahmakumaris, they have their own message. Radha Swami, they have their own message, and even in rural society, centers are there in villages, and some women visit their centers. So the condition was, or inclusion criteria was, at least 1.5 month regularly they had been visiting the place and practicing their messages, because this program was again for 1.5 month. And we found that in our delivered intervention program, physical health, body balancing, and self-care, these were only the significant variables, not a single psychological factor, because we had psychotherapeutic exercises they were supposed to do, because we were dealing with elderly population. On the other hand, when we compared this control group with Radha Swami, Brahm Kumaris and Satsang group, we found that their health, quality of life, well-being were better than compared to control group. And we talk about some other factors also, like they might have more autonomy because going outside alone, and that's permitted in their families. So like that, that's a research we documented in detail. Please feel free to ask question later on, or we could provide the full paper access to you if you want to study these papers. So again, promising results of the existing practices. And we found that in focus group discussions, they mentioned that how they are feeling better after joining these groups. They said interpersonal relations were better, less agitated they are, more surrender to God, and more devotion they have. So on the other hand, they now take interest more in religious programs on TV, and they were, as I mentioned, autonomy as well as 20% perceived above average lifestyle they had. So that's why some mediating variables might be there. But at least in this research, we have documented their benefits. So when they are talking about, they said, I found very interesting fact. Even in rural areas, some women complaints, they क्यों नींद नहीं आती, sleeplessness nights. And I think cause behind it is you are relaxed body wise, but your mind is working. You have number of thoughts, and automatic negative thoughts are generating your emotions and your mind, and your brain is quite active, and because of this activation you can't sleep. So the reason, and old days, sometimes even physical disease could be. So sometimes they recall some unhappy memories, just opposite to happiness increasing strategies. So that's it, and we have, let's take 15 minutes more, and two very interesting studies again I would like to have, but in brief, and please feel free to ask question later on. So at up to this point, I realized that spiritual and motivational videos could work with psychological messages. So with Shilpa, we designed a research on having 14 video, and we recorded these videos having psychological message, positive psychological message, and supported with spiritual and motivational videos, and delivered that program. Found very interesting on Facebook. It one in one section, and its another study was in classroom setting. Could see, so in classroom there was one course on value education, and they were happy to have my program. So 14 session programs it was, with pre and post testing. Even I interacted with these students, could see I am somewhere here. So And applied source of positive psychology we used thought-provoking videos of Indian spiritual leaders, videos of motivational speakers, animated-based short videos we had in this intervention program like this. And it's very interesting, in fact. It's from Mahabharata, a TV serial, and somewhere I found it's very interesting message. अपने अपने सुख अपने अपने दुख का रचयिता कौन? Because if you just take help of any religious or spiritual understanding, each and every one directly or indirectly saying that everything is happening within you. So if it's happening within you, external factors are not responsible for your happiness or unhappiness. So same message is being delivered in this अपने अपने सुख अपने अपने दुख का रचयिता कौन. Similarly about this Harvard's study, as I mentioned earlier, खुश कैसे रहें, from Sadhguru's. Again, engineer having some tragedy in his life, and now motivational speaker talking about happiness, and an algorithm for happiness is on YouTube you could search, talking about emotional hygiene, and again very interesting TED talk, could know more, who am I, about character strength. So we had number of videos supported the message from positive psychology. Again very interesting results we found. The last one, uh, we this year only, we have one platform, Manthan, Gyan or Vigyan, and in during COVID-19, we have developed number of videos. We have created number of videos from positive psychology, from clinical psychology, from some experts help in different areas. Baat pate ki, some small messages, case study where you could know how, if you don't know about psychological issues or psychological problems or psychological disorders, you could create problem for others as well as for yourself. So in case studies, I put such kind of cases where a person don't know about paranoid personality, or जब husband शक करते हैं तो she is very 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 upset. She doesn't know it's because of her, because of his disease, his disorder, depression, if a rural woman having depression, they start to think she's like term she has. When she was talking with me, she said आगे बार बार वो लोग बोलते हैं ये तो पागल है, तभी तो ये साइकेट्रिस्ट के पास गई. So that kind of taboo. So in case studies, we are saying that how such things could hamper someone's well-being, and they are very sensitive people because already having some mental health issues. So I think surrounded people must understand this fact, and must know how there is need to help rather hampering their well-being. Okay. Similarly, I came to know a woman didn't know till 20 years his her husband had schizophrenic symptoms. So the various issues are there. So thought to have at least mental health awareness program, at least you know about all these things, and from various domain we are translating uh, uh, videos for awareness. I know a person, Lisa Rankin, MD doctor, talking against medicines, and saying that how you could take charge of your life and could have a better understanding of your life, because medicines helping you only for 24 hours and you need to take it once again after 24 hours, or maybe morning, evening you are taking it. And she's being MD doctor, she's giving due weightage to psychological factor. She's saying that no one is talking about unhealthy interpersonal relations. These are cause of a particular physical disease. So then if you are not talking about the roots, in her case, interpersonal relations, unhealthy interpersonal relations, then how you could treat a physical disease? So that way she's talking of. In 2022, we selected some of the videos, posters, and delivered an intervention program on WhatsApp. It happens in December and January month of this year. Okay. Uh, uh, yeah. So 4 weeks program it was. It was a WhatsApp group where number of people joined that close group, and we circulated this information on different platforms, even asked some rural women to join the group. And 4 weeks plan in 4 sections we divided. Mental health awareness, in previous one, all material was from our platform. Mental health, about mental health disorders like what is depression, anxiety, stress, etc. And about lessons from positive psychology, like खुश रहने के लिए क्या रेसिपी है, रेसिपी टू बी हैप्पी, इस by Dr. Dina, very interesting TED talk it is. Then like that there are various one, and in the final one, some strategies to get happiness. We found that their happiness, life satisfaction, quality of life was improved, and they appreciate that intervention program. Simultaneously, we asked them like the factors which are enhancing their well-being and factors which are disrupting their well-being. Enhancing, they said, good family relations, community harmony, spiritual and cultural practices, and positive thinking. On the other hand, the factors which are hindering their well-being or obstacles for their well-being were family problems, social relations, societal expectations, fear of judgment, gender inequality, work-related stress, insufficient resources, overthinking, and health issues. So these factors were highlighted by them. And yes, so at the end, now I think that could be a question: what should we follow? There are number of. I think best answer is whatever suits to you, whatever you like to do. And nature wise, personality wise, our uh, uh, our strategies wise, we might be different. So but I think we must be aware about happiness increasing strategies. We must know we can change our life, our level of happiness, and don't give key of your happiness in others' hand, and learn certain strategies which you think would work for you, and then follow them, then practice them. For physical health, we always take care of, like walk, running, going gym and all. So that's, I think, like a mental gym. And I think one must learn about it and follow as per his or her nature. Thank you. I stop here, and please feel free to ask questions if you have.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And most importantly, for making us aware of the various happiness increasing strategies. You've covered so many diverse strategies, and sometimes even religious spiritual strategies, for instance, we are not much aware of it, or we don't really understand the positive side of religion and spirituality. So, thank you so much. And also for reminding us about the importance of mental well being and the fact that as much as physical health is important, we should also be taking care of our mental health. Thank you so much, ma'am. So, ma'am, we'll move to the Q&A session. So, initially, I remember you had asked participants to share the happiness increasing strategies or happy habits which they engage in. So, we've received a few responses. So, for example, Mr. Mohsin has said by being content and less expectations from others, meditation and being kind. Um, Ms. Pyle has said, conquer it with smile, fake it till I make it. And Ms. Nikita has said, being mindful, acknowledging my thinking traps, and getting out of them. These
Great.
are the
Very
responses
good
that we.
strategies. Yeah, great. So someone have questions
Yes,
also?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we do have someone with their hand up.
Thank you
Mahimna
for
Vyas.
sharing your strategies with us. Yeah.
We have Mahimna Vyas.
Yes.
Yes, I have unmuted you, and you can. I think now you can ask your question. I've unmuted you.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Yes. Um, so it was a very interesting and insightful session. Thank you, ma'am. I have read several of your research papers. I have cited you several times. It's a privilege and an honor to meet you or well see you online at least. What I wanted to ask was, so I just completed my master's last year in July 2021. So what I wanted to ask was, as a recent graduate who is looking for more publications or who is interested in research and particularly positive psychology research. So I want to be involved in research, but I am not aware what are the resources there are in India at least. So I am a member of this in National Positive Psychology Association, but I don't know how to get involved in research in the research circles. So how do I, because what you said was very inspiring about the different researches that you have done. So how do we students come like rise to you?
who is speaking? Shilpa? I
This is
couldn't get name.
Mahimna Vyas.
Mahim. Okay. Yeah, Mahim. Mahim, actually, you are a fresh MA. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. I am a student member of the organization. I graduated last year.
Huh. So I think if you are interested to go towards PhD side, then I think qualify in NET and then apply in universities or in institutes like IITs. And during PhD, you will be getting a training and exposure of doing research.
Okay. So is that the only way, like me enrolling in IIT, let's say IIT Delhi under your supervision, or can we separately also, can I, be a part of your team or something like that?
Please
Email?
email to me,
Yep.
and I'll interact separately on this issue.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, ma'am. Apologies
Thank
if
you.
questions were inappropriate.
Thank you.
In case any of you have any other questions, please feel free to either raise your hand or you could even post your questions in the chat box and we can take up your questions, whichever you're more comfortable with. Okay, so we have another participant, Mr. Naresh Kumar. So just a second, sir, I'll unmute you. Okay. Uh, sir, I've unmuted you. In case you have a question, you can go ahead.
You could stop recording, Kirti.